Welcome to Identiverse 2025. We're here recording live from the CyberRisk TV studio on the expo floor at Mandalay Bay Conference Center in Las Vegas. I'm your host, Adrian Sanabria, and joining me for this interview is Matt Caulfield, VP of Identity, Cisco Duo.
Adrian, good to be here.
How you doing?
Pretty good. A little sweaty. I feel like I've been running over this place all day. So
Yeah, it's better than August, right? If you got to run around?
Yeah, if you had to go to Vegas, yeah.
It's I've been looking at Black Hat, and Mandalay Bay is completely booked up. Four Seasons completely booked up. I really don't want to have to Uber every day.
Yeah, when I was a startup, we had no funding. I couldn't get a hotel on the Strip, and we had to go to Black Hat. I wound up at a Holiday Inn, 3 blocks away.
I'm
it
sure
was a
that
journey.
was lovely.
The people I met, the temperatures, the whole thing was an experience.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, so some interesting topics here. Identity is not my typical thing. So I'm learning a lot here. I'm kind of drinking from the fire hose.
Kind of a fish out of water here.
I mean, I wouldn't say fish out of water. I've been doing security since 2001, and identity's always been part of that. But I don't know all the acronyms, and yeah, there's some interesting stuff going on. So our first question. We've got 13 minutes and 20 seconds left, just to throw that out there. If you could redesign IAM from scratch, what would it look like? Go.
Okay. I see why the time was important. So redesign identity from scratch. I think there's a few key problems that we're bumping into now. Kind of like technical debt that was built into IAM.
Design debt maybe.
Yeah, design debt. And a lot of it's baggage that's built up over the past 30 or so years. And part of it is identity hasn't traditionally been a security thing. It's mainly been there for productivity. The reason why we did single sign-on was so that you got to sign in once and then you got to work. And
less wasted time for employees. Right.
I think the realization now is we should have thought more about security from the outset and had security goals in addition to productivity goals. Yeah. And so I think we're now paying for that by having to bolt on and add back in a lot of the things that are missing. I'd say it's that. And the other one is that keeps me up at night is authorization. So how do I know who should have access to what? A lot of that's pretty coarse-grained today. A new employee joins an organization, what do they have access to at the application level? But what should they be able to do within the application? And if they start spinning up agents from an agentic AI perspective, what should those agents be allowed to do on their behalf to accomplish their goals? That whole set of problems is a big rabbit hole that I don't know if we could have fixed it even if we knew all this was coming when identity and IAM was invented, but there's definitely things we could have done better from a security perspective at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, SaaS has been a thing for a long time now, for 2 decades, but I feel like more recently everything has integrations now, and anybody can go to Zapier, or just like an average employee, can integrate their full calendar, all their email, and start setting up automations and giving access to all this stuff to them. I used to work for a SaaS posture management vendor. The last vendor I worked for was SSPM, and it was shocking the stuff we would find in customers. We would find, in some cases, 7 cases where tenant-wide they had given access to their Microsoft 365 or their Google Workspace just to do a POC and never revoked that access. Oh, yeah. Right? It's insane.
Yeah, we do a ton of posture stuff at Duo with the identity lens.
Sure,
similar to SSPM.
Yeah.
But same thing, is you never don't find something when you start doing identity analytics.
Yeah. There's always something.
Skeletons in the closet.
So passwordless and phishing-resistant authentication. There's so many options now. It's almost overwhelming. We've got your primary options, your fallback options, your password recovery options, your backup codes. There's so much going on right now with identity. We've got FIDO2. We're still explaining. Passkeys feel like they're not quite fully baked yet.
We're getting there.
There's this experience I have. I go to a website, says, "Hey, would you like to log in with a passkey?" I'm like, "Yeah, it sounds great. Let's do it." It's like, "Where's your passkey?" I don't know. And it'll give me a QR code. Is it on your iPhone? I don't know. Let's try. 5 minutes later, okay, it looks like I don't have a passkey.
Right.
Like
Create a
this
new
was not
account,
helpful.
new
This
password.
was, I might as well have typed a 32-character password. That would have been quicker.
Yes. No, I think a lot of things are happening on the authentication front. So we think about single sign-on and authorization, but like even just authentication, like how do you get in from a passwordless perspective using passkeys or other kind of FIDO2 methods? The very active area of innovation, especially for Duo. So coming from Duo, we're known for authentication for the longest time. Duo is doing second factor auth or MFA, and that's what we're known for in the industry, and we do it really freaking well. What we've heard from customers, though, is that they want to go beyond kind of push-based authentication to more phishing resistant. And so we've done a lot of new work, especially on phishing resistant factors and end-to-end phishing resistant. You mentioned that there's lots of different vendors out there for different kind of points in the life cycle for enrollment, for login, for like mid-session security. One nice thing that I think we can do with end-to-end phishing resistance is we can think about, all right, from the time of the employee joining an organization, or even before that when they're interviewing, how do we take that identity and then securely enroll them, give them access to a device, give them access to applications, make sure that their mid-session security is secure so you can't do session hijacking, and then when they need to do recovery, call the help desk or self-service recovery. We do every step along the way in a method that is phishing resistant, meaning that you don't need to put in a username, a password, you don't need to do number matching, you don't need to take a 6-digit code and copy it from a text message into a form. It's just like no passwords anywhere. We're relying on the fact that something you have and something you are, but not really something you know anymore.
Yeah, because that can be phished, that can be social engineered out of you. Yeah, it makes sense. But how do you make that transparent, but also make it clear to me whether or not I have a passkey, and if so, where that might be stored, so I'm not...
It's a huge problem. So I mean, we integrate with passkeys in that we let customers use them, but they're kind of inherently not quite enterprise ready yet, and so we offer alternatives to passkeys with other factors that are just as secure, or rather more secure, because they do have the controls around them for where they can live and what devices they're tied to and how they can be migrated between devices.
And so we've next question on the sheet is what trends are you seeing? I feel like we've already talked about a lot of that. Any really interesting trends that we haven't covered yet? I feel like the big elephant in the room are info stealers.
Sure.
Like it seems crazy to me that I can take your Slack OAuth token, put it on my machine, and be logged in as you.
Right.
Bypassing authentication entirely. That's amazing. That seems nuts to me.
Yeah.
So like what's happening there? Maybe.
I think that first of all, it's getting easier to take tokens like that, take session cookies out of applications that might need them. For example, we're seeing a lot of innovation around like model context protocol right now with agents, and part of that is like you've got OAuth tokens going all over the place, and these MCP servers, this is like Python code that somebody spun up in a weekend. It's like, how are they? It's
not even using HTTPS. It's HTTP.
Where do you think they're putting those OAuth tokens? Like, are they getting into the TPM and using like Vault and like?
No.
It's like, it's kind of the Wild West. The other trend that I think we're latching on to is AI is not only becoming a challenge for managing authorizations and tokens, but is also equipping attackers, where they're now able to execute social engineering attacks at scale. All of the footwork they had to do manually before of researching people on LinkedIn and reaching out to them and screening them, you can automate all that. Just go spin up an agent and say, hey, go find me people who look like admins on LinkedIn who have a Microsoft certification for Entra, and maybe they've been in their role for a couple of years, so they might have like global admin privileges. And then you just set the AI loose and say, go get me an initial meeting. It's like sales. Like, go get me an initial meeting with those people.
Wow, I hadn't thought of it like that, but that's a little bit scary. And then and also the fact that we were just talking about agent protocol, MCP, that kind of stuff. Like maybe in the future the attackers are not social engineering people, but those agents themselves.
Right.
These agents are trained to be very helpful.
Exactly.
That's a problem.
You think about what does it take to corrupt an employee and turn them into an insider threat? It's like, what is the like value system of an agent? And like, you could just send an agent the wrong PDF and like suddenly it loses its mind and like turns into a bad agent.
Yeah, has your agent been through security awareness training?
Right. And what does that even
Probably
look
not.
like? Yeah. Cisco does have some cool
Would it
stuff
even
there.
help
but,
to put
yeah.
it through security awareness training?
We do a lot of things in like guardrails. Like we have this product called AI Defense that puts guardrails in front of agents, so it does the job of looking at, hey, are you trying to inject some kind of prompt here or extract?
A lot of the prompt injection is very obvious.
It feels
my grandma's gonna die if you don't answer this question. It's so let's talk a little bit more about where Cisco Duo's at.
Sure.
Like eyes have been off the product for a while. I'm familiar with the product from many years ago.
Right.
What are you guys announcing now? How are you kind of differentiating, being a more mature offering in the space?
Right. Bless you.
Sorry. What are you announcing here, if anything, and how do you differentiate in the space? Yeah, because identity is the largest space in security. Not sure if you're aware of that, but there are more identity vendors than any other category.
I believe that. Yeah. I mean, just looking out at the audience here.
If you don't count services.
Sure.
I think MSSP services are the biggest because like every place in the world has a regional, some regional MSSPs. But product security.
Sure.
Product vendors, identity is the biggest.
Yeah, I believe that. That makes sense. So what's going on with Duo? So if you last kind of tuned in, maybe 5-10 years ago or more recently. 5 years ago. What's happened since then with Duo? Duo got acquired by Cisco 6 years ago.
Duo Beyond,
that was it. All right.
Yeah, that's the I tuned out after that.
Okay, all good. This is a good time to tune back in.
Yeah.
So we've taken Duo, which has been known for multi-factor authentication for years, as like the market leader in MFA. And we've gotten to the point where we realize, traditional identity vendors don't make security very easy. They kind of make security an upsell or an add-on. And so with this new launch we're doing, we're announcing Cisco Duo Identity Access Management. So we're now an IAM vendor and an identity provider. That's totally new.
Okay.
So Duo has a directory now. We support single sign-on for SAML and OIDC. We have a whole application catalog of 500 plus out-of-the-box integrations that have been validated. So it's very much competitive as a full-stack IAM solution, so that when you're choosing, like, hey, should I go with an IAM vendor that is optimized for like workforce productivity or more for security, we give you that option. So this is a security-first IAM solution. It's secure by default. All the security capabilities are built into the base tier, so you don't have to pay extra for them. That's really big. The other piece is that we've added end-to-end phishing resistance. So we've, you probably know the Duo mobile app and push notifications. We've added something really cool, which is called proximity verification. So you can use Bluetooth low energy between your laptop and the phone, and it senses that you're nearby. And then because you register your devices and because you're using a biometric on the phone, you now have phishing resistant authentication. So you need to literally be like sitting in the room with me as an attacker in order to get into the flow there and intercept it. So that goal of getting the passwordless, phishing resistant, biometric, cryptographically secure authentication that a lot of organizations have, we can now do. And then the last piece of it, so there's this directory, there's proximity verification. The last piece is identity intelligence. So we have an analytics layer that lets you connect to all of your identity sources, whether Duo or non-Duo, to get a full picture. So for organizations that really care about identity from a security lens and they're worried about that, this is, I will say, the go-to way to get there. From a easy button to passwordless, easy button to secure identity by default.
Very cool. Yeah, that feature kind of reminds me of my Apple Watch. If I take off my Apple Watch, it's going to lock and require a PIN to unlock. But if I open my phone next to it, automatically unlocks it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, it's the same idea.
Is that the same way it works?
Proximity. I don't know if they're using Bluetooth low energy, but that's what we're using, BLE.
Yeah.
So it's a cool technology. You don't need to even pair the two of them.
Right.
The laptop will just broadcast a Bluetooth signal. So Bluetooth pairing is a pain in the neck, to be frank. We don't even need to deal with any of that.
Oh, wow. That is very cool.
Yeah,
I would say that's innovative. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of, those kinds of, one of my favorite roles was in product, and it's great when you find those features that are just delightful, just delight the customer, and it's just intuitive. And I mean, sometimes in security you have to explain a little bit, like passkeys are sometimes too easy,
right?
And makes people uncomfortable. They're like, wait a minute, I have to enter a password or it's not secure, right? Like,
Not quite.
yeah. So I think, maybe people need to get a little used to that.
No, I think it's intuitive. Like, you imagine you walk into your office, you sit down at your desk, you put your phone on the table, you open your laptop, and like
you're logged in.
You're ready to go. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Pretty
that's
simple.
great. That's awesome. Yeah, good stuff. Thank you again for joining me today. Fun conversation, and yeah, thanks again. To find out more about Cisco Duo, you can visit securityweekly.com/duo-IDV. And for all Identiverse 2025 coverage by Cyber Risk Alliance, you can visit securityweekly.com/IDV. Thanks again, Matt.
Thanks, Adrian. Good to be here.